got to love it here in the city.
Winnipeg is back in the big leagues and over the moon.
Welcome to the Landing Strip with Nick Lynham and Mikey Garcia, presented by From Financial.
Welcome to the Landing Strip, presented by From Financial. After we just witnessed, I gave the Jets Game 3. Normally I'm the pessimist. After Game 3 show, I gave the Jets my trust. I believed that we were going to see better this time around. I felt that they deserved it after the 82 games they put together, the stretches they put together. That was just erased, completely erased, as we just witnessed the fraud squad back in action. That was the Winnipeg Jets fraud squad of a year ago. Come out, have a great first, let up a goal late, and folded like a cheap tent the rest of the way. Before I get ranting and raving, Mikey, how you doing today, buddy? No excuses. I don't know if this is. Oh, Mikey, they can't hear you
Sorry,
in the
guys.
chat. Apparently,
Should be there now.
We'll get that. We'll get that fixed up. I don't know if this is going to be a therapy or an intervention with the way that this game went. Can we hear you now, Mikey?
Should be able to hear me now. Sorry about that, guys.
Did you hear Mikey there, chat, as he said, threw in a little test?
Papa gives me the thumbs up on Twitch. How about you guys on YouTube? Can you hear me now? Beautiful. Thanks,
Perfect. Mikey, we'll start with this. I'm going to ask you your big takeaway today. I'm going to get in my big takeaway, and we're going to open the phone lines early today. If you are listening to this show and you want to get some shit off your chest, let's get right to it today, because there's a lot of emotion leaving this one. Mikey, I'll ask you first. What's your big takeaway leaving this one? And we'll see where this goes.
My big takeaway leaving the game today is that no matter how, I don't know, man, this is tough. I'm trying real hard not to go so dark down a path of absolute throwing my hands up. But after watching, it's more than just the one game. It's more than just the score on the scoreboard at the end there. It's just so much, man. All of it was just bad today. Everything that they could have done the wrong way is exactly what they did today. Anything that they've done well this year, anything that they've shown to be as part of their, their success, they absolutely abandoned. And I don't get it. We're seeing, disappearing acts from so many guys. And I don't even fault the Mark Scheifele's and the Kyle Connors all that much, who have been, one line of offense with, no support coming behind them. You shut them down and there's nothing else behind them. That's it. So, if, and not to say that they get a pass, just that they were the only ones producing offense and we're getting nothing behind it now. Right. So, yeah, I came away from the game really wishing we had, we talk a lot about depth. We talk so much, the Jets are so deep. The Jets are so deep. Yeah, they're deep on third and fourth line players. I said it in the last show. They're not deep where it matters. And we're seeing that again these 2 games in a row when they don't have the ability for the last change, when they're not getting that home ice advantage, when it's coach against coach, when it's your lineup against their lineup, right? Trying to fight off those matchups. The Jets don't have the ability to do that right now. They need everybody healthy and they need everything to go their way, which a lot of the year it has, and that's been great. But as soon as we get in this situation, we don't have the depth needed to fight back. And that's kind of where I came away from the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of good takeaways in the chat already, and I'm looking forward to diving into them. But I'll start with mine. I'll start with mine. And it answers one of Kevin Kowalik on YouTube's questions. Nick and Mikey, are either of you going to talk us off the ledge, or are you lining up right beside us? And I see Turd is heading out to the rope store and then the rickety old stool store, but I'll be listening for at least the first half of the show. I got to say, I will not be talking anyone off a ledge this time around. I feel like I did that on the last show and on social media, and now I look like the idiot. What is my big takeaway? What is my big takeaway? And it is probably at their core, they are who they've always been, unfortunately. This is the type of series, if they do lose this, and one thing that's in the back of my head, and I was kind of looking at today, I expected a one-goal hockey game that either team could win, and if the Jets lost a game like that, I was going to still feel fine. It wasn't that. The Winnipeg Jets just got absolutely embarrassed. And they folded, and they did virtually nothing right in any aspect of the game to push back on what St. Louis has brought since Game 3. And it's just humiliating. It's frustrating. It's embarrassing. It's maddening. I'm 3:40 on a Sunday afternoon, and I'm here trying to find the right words for how I feel right now. But at the end of the day, this is what it boils down to. A lot of the conversations we had throughout the season are rearing their ugly head when it matters the fucking most. At the end of the day, if the Winnipeg Jets lose this round, and right now, though I'm looking at this series in one way. It's down to a best of 3 where one team has home ice advantage and one team has the better goalie and the better coach. What side are you taking? I'm leaning towards the coach and the goaltender right now. And that's how I feel about the Winnipeg Jets right now. It's just like they had a chance to dispel the narratives of history's past, and they came out pretty strong. The first period was not bad.
Yeah.
But as soon as they got punched in the mouth, they folded like a cheap fucking suit with another last minute of the period goal. And here we are. And honestly, if this goes awry, the blame falls from the top of the org on down.
Yes, sir.
Kevin Cheveldayoff's trade deadline looks awfully fucking miserable right now, like we warned about, and people have wanted to push back on us for. Luke Schen's a freaking problem in this series for the Winnipeg Jets. And hey, Brandon Tanev skates fast. What has he added? Those were the big swings. You left $6 million fucking bucks on the line.
Yep.
You can't get a goal out of your middle 6.
Yep.
Good thing we have our first round pick still. I guess that's going to come into play in a year that was meant to have it all.
Yep.
Hey, I guess we're going to get to draft mid-20s now. That's exciting. Woo! Let's look at the draft all of a sudden. A coach that is scared of his own goddamn shadow, that the consistency of the lineup was always going to run into some kind of problem, and as soon as injuries hit, what does he do? He doesn't know what to do. Can't draw offense out of this group to save his life.
Yep.
I like the one tweak, Barron. You know what? Morgan Barron stood out today.
Yep.
We'll add that in. I like Morgan Barron getting more minutes, getting to play on the Lowry line. That was nice. But the Winnipeg Jets have been so stuck into their plan A, and we kept saying that there is warnings about what this looks like come playoff time, and they largely dispelled them with their last few months of the play. But guess what? They're here, and we're seeing it all on full fucking display.
Yeah.
Again. It's not like this hasn't happened before, and this is a first. It has been like this since 2019. They have not won a playoff game after losing a game in a series since the Blues series in 2019. And they just got rolled in back-to-back games.
They haven't won
got rolled.
They haven't run a road playoff game since 2018.
And it goes past the coaches and the staff at this point. I can't take any blame off Connor Hellebuyck at this point.
Yep.
Nerves are true. Can't blame the playoffs. And St. Louis has done it. Like, today looked like Colorado to me. St. Louis did a great job of getting those high shots, getting traffic towards the net, jumping on the Jets in every aspect. But guess what? We're talking about him as the best goaltender in the world. Make some freaking saves.
Yeah.
Josh Morrissey, our best skater. I've said this many times. Where is he?
Non-existent.
I can't even just go to the depth sides of things when the biggest key pieces of this organization, from the general manager, the head coach, and their very best players have all decided to let them out to dry. We don't even get a line blender going into the third period. Scott Arneal's so scared of his own fucking shadow.
Yeah, we need to put the narrative that line blenders exist in Winnipeg to bed. He doesn't do it. He'll move guys around once in a while if he wants to play with ice time a bit, which he's talked about, but he doesn't think that changing the lines produces offense. That's just not part of their scheme. They don't do it. This is, like I said, they need every single guy healthy to make their system work. And we're seeing right now that you lose 2 of your top offensive pieces, right? A third of your top 6 is out, and the whole thing falls apart because you can't just plug and play from your bottom 6. Yeah, it's great to have a million third and fourth line guys, but they are third and fourth line guys for a reason. These are guys that don't produce offense at a rate that qualifies to have them up higher in the lineup. So yeah, you can get away with it for a few games, and we got lucky with Alex Iafallo, being able to fill in admirably. But over time, it's going to wear out where you need to get creative when you start losing pieces, and the Jets don't do it. And I want to shout out to one of our first-time chatters over on Twitch, Rust17. To me, it all starts with a D-zone structure, and today that's absolutely true. Everything they did in the D-zone was antithetical to success for what they do. This is just absolutely ridiculous. Leaving Hellebuyck completely covered up, letting the Blues get completely into the crease, into his space. They're not clearing out the way for him to see. They're letting the Blues get behind the D, for fuck's sakes. I don't know what we were doing out there today. It made no fucking sense. And where's Adam Lowry? Does anybody know where the captain is at the moment? This is supposed to be the heart and soul guy that we all, we see and we love. And this just absolutely has been, completely MIA. Again, doesn't wear more blame than anybody else, not more than Connor Hellebuyck or whoever you want to put. Everybody was absolutely atrocious, but specifically the captain was just, non-existent again today.
I was going to say, I was sitting there. You know what? I like the noon start. Get a nice brunch in with some friends. Get to catch up. Carson, Jess, Lise, nice to see you guys. And me and Carson were just sitting there down the stretch talking about Hellebuyck, which is a big problem. But Adam Lowry, that is the captain. That's the emotional leader. That's the guy in the playoffs that you're expecting to step up. And the most impactful I've seen him be was in that last few minutes when he throws a glove off and pounds a guy in a game that's long lost.
Yep.
And this is a team that already had a center problem. Let's go back to the deadline. Everyone knew we needed a 2C. Vladimir Meskov, 1 goal in his last 30 fucking hockey games. Yeah, they're going to good. It's going to really work out. It's going to work out. Time to make this bet on old Vladdy. Even let's extend him while we're at it so that we make sure we're stuck into that. Like, this collapse, if they do not fail or they do not get through, it is a top down from the core who does this every single playoff race to a coach that is getting absolutely schooled on the road by Jim Montgomery, and a GM that absolutely had the chips ready, the cap space, and the picks, and couldn't find anything to do but Luke Schenn and Brandon Tanev. Luke Schenn, who should not even fucking play in Game 5. I'm sorry. It was nice to see Stan come out, and they make the adjustment to Fleury, which is the same thing at the end of the day. Colin Miller jumps in 2 hours before a hockey game for Dylan DeMello last game. Plays a great hockey game, and he's just banished again. Yes. Luke Schenn, supposed to be this physical presence, can't win a board battle.
Nope.
Can't skate. Like, what are we doing here, guys, at this? Like, and it just can go up and down. Mason Appleton, what does he do for this team? Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor, you're right. They've scored 3 goals, and there is no offense behind them. The middle 6 is a clear problem, and losing Nick Ehlers and Gabe Vilardi hurts. But guess what? We were always another top 6 center away, which is why the deadline mattered. That if injuries come, guess what? You could push through them a little bit and get some more juice. Winnipeg doesn't have it. At this point, and the top line, to be honest, outside of scoring that goal today, they were absolutely piss poor. They got absolutely railroaded in their minutes, and we know who they are. We could expect that. We should expect that. Despite everyone wanting to put them at the top of God's list of best 2 players to play together ever, they aren't that, and they've never been that. And today it was on display that they aren't that. But they have at least produced some offense in this series. It is so goddamn infuriating that year after year, the same thing happens. And guess what? We're going to start the 2025-2026 season with the exact same lineup. And we could do this all again over 82 games next year. And then we could do this all again in round one of the playoffs. They've locked themselves into the money. They've shown who they are. They show who they believe in. They show they're not willing to make any adjustments. Why should anyone believe it's not different right now after what we just witnessed? Why should anyone?
Yeah. There's no reason to. This is exactly what we keep going at each time. And we pleaded for it, right? From game like 10, when we saw what the Jets were doing, right? When we saw how this team was able to operate, from about that point on, we went, hey, if they add a 2C, if they can get some extra skill on that spot, they'll be a real fucking force come playoff time. And we all year just, hey, this is looking great, but, you know, we really got to see that because when we get that second line center, that's really going to elevate these guys. Hey, everything's great right now, but, right, we've all fucking year. And then when the deadline comes and it kind of looks like, hey, the Jets got played a bit here, didn't have a plan B when, you know, their first option fell apart, and we're coming in it with Brandon Tanev, it's frustrating to have these same issues pop up again and again, right from, and again, you can't, you know, the old adage is you don't fire a team, you know, so you have to fire a coach. This is multiple coaches now. This is multiple players. This is right from the very top. This is the culture that the team has built, and their just absolute inability to identify NHL talent on defense. This has been a problem since the team came back. This is something that I've been harping on right from, like, it's been very clear that they don't identify NHL talent well when it comes to defense, and we've seen it now for 4 different coaches. It's not a coaching thing at this point.
And you know what? Let's go to those phone lines. I wanted to point out this point from Ben Howard, though. The Blues team is young and inexperienced, too, outside of a couple, like there's, 4 holdovers from that Cup team way back then, and look more mature, physical than this Jets team. And I think that is something, like, we've heard this team talk about that the warts in building up those losses was going to give them that edge come this time. And it looks like St. Louis has that edge right now. And then we're talking about the idea that everybody in the world knew they needed more center help. And the most experienced GM in the league currently gets leveraged. I mean, like, it's just fucking pathetic. And going into the playoffs, he's told that he's going to have a job as long as the owner's still alive. Like, yep. It is what it is. Someone actually mentioned here, I got to find it. Colton Peters says it comes down to the organizational model of remaining competitive enough to make the playoffs consistently, and then whatever happens after that happens. And 100% correct. That is exactly what holds them back at this point, and it's exactly why we're going to see the same thing over and over, that progressively goes the other way. As Rusty on Twitch says, same lineup minus 27, and that's the guy that they're missing the most. I don't think Gabe Vilardi is making as big of a difference in this series. Obviously, you could use him on that power play, but I thought the power play got some good looks today.
Yeah, since they've made that adjustment, the power play's had some good looks. Gabe Vilardi will add you some goals on the power play, so you know you can say different things. But yeah, I think Ehlers is the bigger piece.
Let's open those phone lines.
All right,
let's open them up. Everyone's asking. We've had like 4 or 5 people. Scott Westman says, "Open the phone lines. Let the animals in." It's your show, people. We'll be diving through the comments. I got what I need to get off my chest. We'll be diving back and forth. If you want to call in, the floodgates are open. 204-800-0409. How are you feeling today? What do you want to talk about?
Let's go. We got our first call.
Let's go right to it.
Hey, caller, you're on the landing strip. What's your name, and what would you like to talk about?
Hey, boys, it's King Canadian. This is going to be a long one. I got a lot to get off my chest.
Let's go, King Canadian. What do you want to talk about today, buddy?
So this starts all the way back in the summer, where the organization, for the first time in a long, long time, had an opportunity to go somewhere else with a coach, with someone who hadn't been around the organization. Paul Maurice came with the team, was here for so long. Bones gets fired from his other job because he can't get a team over the hump. He's good at culture, all that kind of stuff. The Stars let him go. He comes to town to fix the Jets. Now, give him that. He fixed the locker room, and that's about it. And then we just hand the ropes over to Arneal, a man who's been locked out of a locker room before. You think he's going to take any kind of change? 17 says I want the 17th best forward on the Jets to play at my hip. Yeah, okay, you get that. Mark Treffley says 81's got to play with me, or I'm going to lock you out. Or Neil, oh yeah, whatever you want. 37 absolutely craps the bed 3 years in a row in the playoffs, and I understand there's team stuff happening in front of them. You want to be the best. You talk all the time about, oh, I want to win a cup so bad. I want to win a cup. Win a cup then, Connor Hellebuyck. Make a save. You want to be the best? Be the best. Jordan Binnington is a horrendous goaltender. I watch him at Four Nations stand on his head. I watch him in this playoffs making save after save after save after save after save. Connor Hellebuyck has in the last, I can't remember, I think it's the last 3 playoffs, has a minus 16 goals saved above average. That is triple as bad as Stuart Skinner. And this is the guy that's supposed to lead the Jets to the promised land? If I'm playing in front of him and I'm watching my goaltender, the same core, I hear all this stuff about playoffs. Oh, it's so much harder than the regular season. Everything's so much different. Okay, well, then we're not going to outscore our problems. The offense that was so good, we can't expect them to score 4 or 5 goals a night to bail out Connor Hellebuyck, having an 8.27. Actually, I don't know what it is now. The last time I checked, it was an 8.27 in the playoffs.
It's probably
and
lower
he keeps
now.
letting goal after goal after goal, and that team, they're falling apart. When your best player isn't being your best player, and all of a sudden when it's hard to find offense in the playoffs, can't outscore their problems, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. I am so sick and tired of the excuses for Connor Hellebuyck. At some point, the man who doesn't want to come talk to the media, the guy who's so scared of standing in front of the blue paint, he's inside of his net, there's a conversation that needs to be had about this guy. That's my first rant I want to have. The next thing I want to talk about, where is there any kind of, at all, in this organization where Logan Stanley's been here for so long? We've lost so many good defensemen because of Logan Stanley. And, yeah, we don't want to go out and trade for a 2C because we're a draft and development type of organization. Braden Yeager, he looks like a good young player. Sounds like that Brock Nelson. Is he ever going to see this roster? Are they going to let Braden Yeager play? Cole Perfetti gets 5 games at center. No, he's not a center. Give up, put him on the wing. Whether he would be a center or not, I don't know. But Braden Yeager, who we don't want to give up because we're a draft and development for Brock Nelson, who would have fixed that second line. Say we have Mr. Kant scores 3 goals, Vladislav Nemestikov. We don't want to give up Braden Yeager because he's going to make the roster in 2029 or get waived for Vlad Nemestikov probably. Like, it's such a joke of an organization. Oh, it is so frustrating. Just top down, everything's frustrating with this team. I can't even have words for how angry I am.
Hey, you're getting a lot of good comments in both chats. Mike points out King Canadian mashing the phone buttons, and you're spitting hot fire. It's hard to disagree with you, man. We're going to dive into some of your stuff that you got there because you've listened to me for a long time. We've talked a lot. You know I'm in your bandwagon on a lot of what you said. We're going to get to some of that as the show goes on. Thank you for calling in. We're going to jump over to the next one.
Yeah.
I hope that helped to get some of that out, but let's keep it going.
And 8-17 currently for Connor Hellebuyck, King. 8-17 after today.
Awesome. That's just simply amazing.
Great energy, my man. Great energy. Let's get to the next one here,
Okay,
Mike.
phone lines are open. Give us a call. 1-204-800-0409. Get on the line. Jordy, now's your chance.
I do want to push back a little on Darren Dupuis, who says it's not management or coaching. It comes down to the players. These guys are professional and get paid bucks to play the game they love. They need to find an extra gear like every other team. And I do agree with the back half of that. I'll ask you this. Which management team has continued to bet on those said players?
Yep.
Which management team has continued to pay them those big dollars? And which coaching staff has only tried one way to be successful with this group of players? There was no movement, and this is something we talked about all year about trying different things, so when this happens, you know where to go.
Yep.
And they were so stuck in the moment, and this org itself is so stuck. It's crazy to me. When I look at organizations, typically you want to see an org plan 3 to 5 years out. The Winnipeg Jets are a year-over-year team, and it allowed them to do some nice things in the regular season, and it allows them to miss the boat completely on where this is trending. This is their last window. A big step back's coming. Anyone that's excited that Nick Ehlers is walking out the door, watch this series and watch what the Jets look like without him.
You ready for the next call?
This is the yeah.
Let's go.
Let's just keep rolling.
Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
Hey, it's El Camino calling again.
Hey, Al.
Hey Al, how's it going?
It's not good. It's not good, Nick.
It's not.
I am just so sick and tired of being told that these are the smartest guys in the room every year, and there is ample proof that that is not the case. You know, I was going through my my bookcase, and there's a great book about the Tampa Bay Rays called The Extra 2%. I recommend anybody go out to your library. Don't buy it because the guy that wrote it's just a horrible human, turns out. But if you read that, there is absolutely nothing that the Jets do to get themselves that extra edge. It's so infuriating. And you know, they draft and develop, but they won't play youth, and they also won't trade them. I don't know, Nick. Help me through this.
Hey, I believe you just put in the chat too a couple minutes ago with the whole signing Pionk thing. Elias Allman said, like, if he's expected to be a top four defenseman, you've blocked him off with DeMello and Pionk. You've reorchestrated the Schmidt and Dillon left side that was taking up $11 million in the bottom four spots that blocked Sandberg and Hainola's development. Now you're making the same mistake on the right side with probably an even higher upside defenseman than, Sandberg, no. Salmonson could be that next version. And they do the same things to arrive at the same destination and are stunned. We're at this time last year, we're talking about the idea that, we're going to go into this analytics summit. We're going to try different things. We're going to really learn how to bring out that 2%. And then we saw 82 games of the exact same thing the previous guy tried. What?
I'm starting to think, I think it was Jet-Centrics always has made mention of it repeatedly, that they use analytics to justify how they want to play, that they're successful at it, and not actually analyze it for how to get better. And I don't know. Anyways, thanks for the airtime, boys. Take care.
Hey, Al, thanks for the call. Thanks for the book recommendation. I've been meaning to dive into that one, and I think this summer might be a good time after what we're watching unfold here.
Here you go, Jordy. Next spots open up, 1-204-800-0409.
And yeah, as Mikey said over on YouTube, we'll stay live to make sure if you want to call today and you want to get something out of your system, we will stay live and be here with you guys today.
You ready for the next call?
Let's have a time today. Yeah, let's go.
Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
It's Blake from Blake K. BKels from Twitter, St. Louis.
Hey, Blake.
How's it going, Blake?
Yeah, I don't even know again, but I will say this is just unbelievable, and it's definitely out of the Jets. I'm so frustrated because of not picking up anyone at the deadline worth the crap. I'm just going to go at this game itself. First period, great 10 minutes, I guess, if you want to call it that. Kyle Connor, he scored a goal, sure. That fact check, you know, I am so frustrated just because no one has showed up in St. Louis at all. Connor Hellebuyck, no show again. And what's up with him going to the locker room and not coming back out with the team? Sure, bad game, understandable. Let's join the team and have some leadership. I'm very mind blown. Put it that way. Miller needs to come back in the next game. Hayden Fleury back out. Don't know what that was. Sure, you got Logan Stanley out, which is great, but you basically just put a minus back on it with adding Hayden Fleury and not Colin Miller. Yeah, I'm going, but it's like in the back of my head too. You know, it's like with the last two playoff series, Vegas and Colorado, Hellebuyck is back to his narrative, and that back thought, obviously we can't put Comrie in for Game 5, but it's like, what do we do here? Obviously the Blues got a good edge right now. Yeah, what do you guys think?
It's feeling like deja vu for me. I'm sitting here, and I thought we were all in a good place after Game 3, and I'm sitting here just expecting what we've seen for times now. And I see Matty Wins adds a point to what you were just talking about here with Helly not coming back out on the bench. Mike McIntyre reported it's usually his thing to stay in the room, work things out with Flats. I just don't agree with like that mentality. I'm not a goalie. I'm not wired. I'm not Connor Hellebuyck. But you are part of the reason you got pulled. And you've gotten shellacked in back-to-back games. The crowd is chanting, "We want Connor." I want my franchise guy, my leader, being a part of the team and sitting through that and really soaking that in and using that as motivation, not hiding from it and hiding from the media. I think that's a fair criticism given how valuable and how important Connor Hellebuyck is to this team.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, when they were saying that we won, it was, I had a buddy, downtown today in St. Louis, and they were saying it outside the building. They were saying it till the game ended, going to the parking lots to the cars, saying we want Connor, and which is totally understandable. But it gets me thinking, like, where's his head at now going for Game 5? Are we? You guys are obviously. Are any of you guys going to Game 5?
I will be there. And I'm nervous about it all of a sudden.
Right. I'm not even going to be there, and I'm nervous for you. But yeah, I'll let some other people up. But it's definitely being here in St. Louis. The St. Louis fans are definitely they are hyped. They are ready to go to Winnipeg. Put it that way. And I hope the team is ready for them.
Hey, I hope so too, Blake. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for sharing some of the insights going on down in St. Louis. And hopefully this is another just blip in the road and we're celebrating on Wednesday, because right now, feeling it in this moment, it doesn't feel good. It really does not feel good.
Yep. And like you said, though, you don't go to Eric Comrie in the next game. You kind of have to ride this storm out and either pray there's a miracle that happened somewhere along the way, or you go down, with the crew that got you here, and maybe that causes some internal reflection. We'll see. All right, y'all, phone lines are still open, 1-204-800-0409. Give us a call.
I'm going to go to Trevor's point off of that call over on YouTube. A mixture of Groundhog's Day and Mean Girls. Different day, same results, and a team that continues to make fetch happen. And then in brackets, it's not going to happen. And that's where I think that plays into Elias McCracken's question here, who says, what do we do? I guess we just quit. Shake my head. Helly is not getting defensive support again. Who cares if he comes back to the bench? Whole team needs better effort. Got start out hustling the Blues. And for me, when you talk about that, the Winnipeg Jets still can win this series. They do have home ice advantage. It's a tied series. I don't want to get overbearing into, and today I'm feeling those emotions because we've seen this story over and over. And for the first time this year, to their credit, but it still happened. That to me looked like the fraud squad that I've learned to grow love and hate over the last few years. When you see a response like that, that's what's sitting bad with me, is the body language, the lack of any type of adjustment from Scott Arniel. Like, if you're Scott Arniel, let's go here. Let's try and answer Elias McCracken's question. What are you looking to do in Game 5? What are the changes you're making? Expect Gabe Vilardi's going to be back. What do you want to see from the Winnipeg Jets?
If you're Scott Arniel?
If you're Scott Arniel, what are we changing? What are we going to, instead of just bitching on it, let's come up with some answers. Let's see what we can do here.
We've got a call here. Let's take that, and then we can definitely hit that. Oh, they hung up. So, hey, caller, just so you know, if we're finishing a thought, you'll be paused for a second there, but we'll take you right back. So give us a call. Phone lines, again, are open. If I'm making the lineup changes, we're seeing Adam Lowry playing second line up with, here we go. There's our caller. Hey, caller, thanks for calling the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
Hey, it's Raul phoning in. Obviously talk about the game and the series a little bit.
Hell yeah, let's go.
How's it going, Rahul?
Hey, not too bad. Just want to say I haven't been listening as much lately, but that the event you put on was really well run, and I think it's awesome, getting a group of folks you interact with online to actually meet up in person. So kudos to you guys for setting that up. But yeah, just on the game today. It's 2-2, right? So, and the Jets have won every game at home. So that's what I'm holding on to right now. But to me, in watching the game, the Jets are allergic to the front of the net on offense, and St. Louis essentially gets get a direct path to the front of the net and can essentially do whatever they want. I think even before, even at the trade deadline, I really wanted this team to get maybe one or two middle six forwards, even when healthy. For example, when Velarde comes back, he's going to line one, right? And that's the only line that's producing offense. I don't see how that helps lines 2 through 4. So the 40-ish minutes that Connor, Scheifele, and Velarde aren't out there, they're still going to have trouble scoring unless, I follow is the jumper cables that gets the offense going, but I personally don't see that. I want to be a little weary that it is 2-2 and the Jets have won every game at home. However, Hellebuyck's play, and I'm one of the biggest Hellebuyck fans, but it just does not instill any confidence in this team. And maybe I was a prisoner of small sample size, but the Four Nations tournament gave me a glimmer of hope that this time might be different in the playoffs, just because it's a high leverage tournament. But obviously that has not come to fruition yet. And if you look at his save percentage over the last few playoff years, other than the Edmonton series, since the last time we played the Blues, he's been below the playoff average line. So I try not to comment a lot on players' mental or psychological stuff, just because we're not in their heads. But I don't know what it is. And it's the team in front of him too. It's just the team defense just wilts like a flower, and Hellebuyck is not playing. He doesn't have the Superman cape to save this team. So like I said, I'm hopeful that the home ice advantage continues with us. But beyond this series, even if we do squeak out a win, going up against Colorado with this style of play, it's just going to be the same thing as last year. But I'm gonna hang up and keep on listening. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks for calling in, Rahul, and hard to disagree with a lot of your thoughts. If you want to be positive about this, the Winnipeg Jets worked for home ice all year. They have it. It's a best of 3 where 2 games will be in Winnipeg. But how do we ignore that the core seems to fall flat out? And I like Rahul. I don't like going to the mental side of it. I just don't know enough. Everyone has different things going in mentally, but how do you not wonder about it? Where as soon as this team gets punched in the face in the playoffs, everything seems to fall apart. And I like this take. I know he's not in the chat. He was pretty fired up. He didn't think he would be able to get through a show like this. But Fat Tony, who's normally on our Twitch streams, sent me a text. And I like how this was framed in this whole Connor Hellebuyck conversation right now. Because it flat out, this isn't me hyping up Connor Hellebuyck. Connor Hellebuyck needs to be better. But I like how he framed this take. So maybe Helly really is more important than I thought. Not just the saves, but the confidence he gives the Jets that he will make the saves. With that gone, the Jets played so scared. And this team is at their best when they're pressing, when they're aggressive, when they're not overthinking their decisions. This team struggles when they have to think, especially a lot of their better or highest paid players. I think that plays in here. And it's what do you do about that at this stage? What do you do?
We can ask our caller. You ready for the next one?
Let's get into the next one.
Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
Hey there. This is Hulk calling in from the sunny shores of Newfoundland today. Listen, I got to be honest with you. My thoughts are probably going to take a long time. It's basically a soliloquy. So if you're good with that, I'll continue.
We're ready to go.
Alrighty. Okay. So, I did not think a playoff series could piss me off more than the Colorado series last year. But when you take a look comparatively at the team, I even remember having a conversation with a lot of Jets fans really that basically the Colorado Jets series last year come down to whether Colorado's speed could beat the Jets team defense. And at the end of the day, it was proven that the Jets team defense just got absolutely face melted by team speed, right? This year it looked different. This year this team, when it rolled into Colorado, they put up a good fight. They were the better team most games in Denver or out of Denver, much the same with St. Louis. I had finally thought they came over a hump. And then in the 11th hour, right when the games start to matter, the old Jets, not of 2024 or 2023 or 2022, the old Jets of 2019 show up in the building. I don't understand what hope this organization has in the core anymore. And I don't understand what hope fans have in this core anymore. Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele have had 6-7 years now to show that they can.
Hey, cut out a little bit there.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry about that. So Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele, they've had 7-8 years now to show that they can take over a series, that they can go ahead and they can really sit down and be that top line that you can lean on, and they haven't. The Jets seem to be the only organization in the league that has not come to this conclusion. It just calls into question their decision-making. And at the end of the day, I find it hard to approach the Jets front office as anything other than lazy at this point. They're seemingly the only team in the league that can't make avail of literally any option at all to improve your roster. The Jets have made no trades for an RFA that I can remember, definitely at least since 2018. I don't even know if they acquired a guy in 2018 who was an RFA. The last two meaningful additions they made in the offseason were Brandon Dillon and Nate Schmidt, one of which they bought out 2 years after the fact, and another one which they just let go. They continuously keep guys just because they know who they are. Neil Pionk, if Neil Pionk was a guy that they were approaching in free agency, they wouldn't have went after him. They only signed him because they know who he is. Mason Appleton, we had a hole on our right wing, so the Jets went out and they filled it with a guy that they knew. This when they are. Sorry?
Oh, you cut out there.
It went scrambled there. Keep going.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So the Jets organization is seemingly the only team in the league that has such loyalty to their players. The only other team that I can think of that has this level of loyalty to their players is the New York Islanders. Is this what we want the team to become? Do we want the team to become the Islanders of the West? Because I'm leaning to it at this point. Kevin Cheveldayoff does not make a move unless other factors outside of his control force him to get off of his fucking hands. He sits on his ass basically every off season, and I understand. I have compassion for the fact that Winnipeg is a very hard market to sell to people. But you know what else was a hard market to sell to people a long time ago? Florida. Florida, around the time that the Winnipeg Jets were coming into the league, were a fucking laughing stock, especially after that point. But they've somehow managed to do a complete turnaround, not once, but twice. There's been 2 eras of Florida competing. One was kind of a mirage. One was the Jonathan Huberdeau, Alexander Barkov era, where they had Roberto Luongo in there. Then they sat down and they rebuilt. They hired Dale fucking Talon in the meantime, had him blow up their roster, had him give up not one, but 2 top 6 forwards, something that the Jets, if they were to give up for absolutely fucking free, they would never be able to recover from. And they have still found some way to come back around to competition and serious level hockey faster than the Jets have. It's inexcusable at this point. At some point, something has to change. Like, the GM has to go, okay, but Chipman just went in front of media and said that he's the forever GM. So where do you go here?
You sit back and keep eating the shit sandwiches they want to sell you.
No worries. It's fine. See, it's just from the distance I'm calling is all. I'm going to hang up and give the phone line to someone else then.
Hey, Hulk,
you so
thanks for the
much.
call. And you touch on a lot of the things that bother me. I like the Isles of the West comparison, and even that Isles team found their way to back-to-back conference finals before they fell off the aging cliff. And that aging cliff's coming for Winnipeg here. It is what's concerning, but I will say, our friend in Ehlers We Trust says, is it still okay to still believe in the Winnipeg Jets? And absolutely. It's a tied series.
Yep.
It's just hard to find that belief for me.
And before we
right
hit our
now.
next caller here, I just want to echo Kevin Kowalik over on YouTube. The parallel, they say the parallel to me are the San Jose Sharks, except their peak was a cup final. And that was actually one of the ones that jumped to my mind as well. That regular season, great all the time, out in the first round. You know, it's a good comp. I like that one. All right, ready for our next call?
Yeah, Robert started saying no Newfie accent with the F-bomb. What the fuck? We need some more emphasis there. We'll keep going through the cards. Let's keep going through the calls. I'll get to what I want to get to when we're done with the calls. I want the callers to have this show today. This is for them.
Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about? Hey, caller, are you there? All right, we're going to jump to the next one then.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Phone lines are still open. 1-204-800-0409. Here we go. Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
Yes, I am. This is Jordy calling. Sorry, I'm glad to be on. And I don't know what I'm going to say that hasn't been said already, but I really love you guys and the approach you take, because sometimes I feel like it's not cool to be a negative or realistic Jets fan sometimes. Everything has to be wonderful and great, and we can just ignore history and ignore everything and just pretend like, you know, the last 7-8 years hasn't happened. There's so much stuff. Hellebuyck, man, I don't know. He just, he's been bad in other playoff series, but today or the last two games, I don't even know what to say. If it is all mental, I don't know what to do, but he just when he came out to play the puck and lost the puck in game 3, I almost threw something at my TV and broke it because I was so angry. It's 2018 all over again. I can't remember what game it was against Vegas, but he did the same thing. That's 8 years ago now, 7 years ago, same exact thing. And I think a lot of people, I'm just at a loss of what to do or what to say. This team, this organization, it's so bizarre to me that they're just afraid to do anything that's different or interesting. We're going to roll the same lines out next game, probably, and hope for the best, and that's it. And it feels to me like this is a broader point, but it feels to me sometimes like this. A lot of the fan base here are so afraid of maybe losing the team again, or the trauma from losing Jets 1.0, that they're afraid if they say anything bad or they're critical or they maybe stop coming to games or are vocally upset, then they're going to lose the team again. And that's just a kind of a more, kind of broader thing. But yeah, and I think there's just so much stuff. I think I'll just end with this, Hellebuyck. So this whole idea that we can't pull Hellebuyck possibly for Game 5. I'm not suggesting we do that because Comrie obviously isn't going to win a playoff game for us, I don't think. But the idea that you can't do that is crazy.
Yeah.
The Canucks, I think a decade ago when they were playing Chicago, they were up 3-0. They lost 3 in a row and in a disastrous way, and everyone thought they were going to blow it again and the team would be blown up the next year. They pulled Luongo in Game 6 of a must-win game and played Corey Schneider. And that was a weird game because Schneider got hurt and had to go out, and then Luongo came back in. But regardless, they did it. And then when they were down 3-0 and then the next year they were down 3-0 to Los Angeles. They played Schneider again in Game 4 and 5, I want to say. Next year again, down 3-0 to San Jose. They played Schneider, and then Luongo was gone the next year. So the fact that people say that we can't pull Helly and it can't be done, or was never done. I mean, Skinner just got pulled for Pickard, and I don't know, the Oilers. I know that's a weird series, but the Oilers won the game, because they changed things up and took a risk. So I think that this is what it comes down to: is the team is afraid, like you said, to take a risk, do anything outside of the plan that they have, and it's just gonna sink them, unfortunately. So anyway, I just wanted to get some of that off my chest. I hope I made some sense, and thanks for taking my call, guys.
Hey, Gordy, thanks for jumping on. You made a ton of sense. Thank you for the kind words at the beginning. And hey, as someone that puts himself out there and has no problem talking about the negative, I think you actually addressed it very, very well with the idea that there is a fear in this fan base that if you are a little bit negative, it's going to push the Jets out of town rather than push them to be better. I believe shows like ours and being able to have these conversations should push a team to be better, not force them to leave town. And there is just so much going wrong when you see the same thing over and over. You can't upset the apple cart. I'm more open-minded to starting Comrie and sending a message game 5 than I'd care to admit. And there is just no answers in Winnipeg. It's the same thing over and over.
Yep, it's frustrating when it's those same problems that keep popping up. It's going to be a tough one because, you know, they're going to hit the ice Wednesday with the lineup that we know and love, right, from game 1 all the way through, with just the addition of Gabe Vilardi slotting back into that top line. And we're just going to have to hope it's one of the nights where things go our way.
I see over on YouTube, Buzz Night, Blues fan here. My post-game show just ended with a bunch of laughing faces. I have the Jets going to the finals in my bracket. The better team is getting outworked. Don't break my bracket. Thank you for jumping in and checking this out. I mean, this might be a Blues fan's porn hearing all this negativity coming out of Winnipeg today, but we appreciate you jumping in. Mikey, is there another call? Because I want to jump into a couple comments from ball hockey videos.
At the moment, phone lines are clear, so if anybody would like to get a call in, right now it's open, 1-204-800-0409. But until then, yeah, let's hit the comments.
So I want to go to Ball Hockey Videos, who had a few comments in a row on YouTube that really is interesting to me, saying the thing that scares me is we're taking an absolute beating on social media right now. People are all saying they are right about the Jets, can't do anything in the playoffs. It's quite embarrassing, and there's just nothing we can do. I get it, we're missing a couple players, but we were missing players all season in spurts. But we're not going to dominate, but they haven't even played that great in the games they won. What do you think of all of that?
It's it's hard to argue, right? You're missing guys all year long. Every team is missing guys, right? St. Louis doesn't have Holloway right now. Can you imagine what the series looks like with Dylan Holloway adding into it? So, hard to argue. We do have another call though, if you want to hit that.
Let's go to it. Today's all about the people. Today's the people show.
Hey,
we'll
caller,
take any
thanks
and
for
all
holding.
calls.
You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
Hey, it's Ricky calling here. Just a couple things I just want to get over here first. I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit here. It is still 2-2.
Probably.
The Jets are not. Everybody's acting like the series is over. Well, certainly the last 2 games haven't gone to script, but it's still 2-2. There's still lots of hockey to be played yet. Secondly, I think you can't underestimate the amount. Losing Vilardi was one thing, but they got used to playing without him. But losing Ehlers on a nothing play in the last game really, really hurts. And I think missing those 2 guys, you have to understand that allows St. Louis to play the way they're playing right now, taking advantage of the physicality, that side of things. Whereas I think if the Jets are healthy, I don't think St. Louis gets to play that style of hockey. And I think the Jets easily win the series. I still believe that. Now, we're not going to see Ehlers, obviously, in this series. He's not coming back for a while. And finally, the other thought I had was just, I think the Jets just need to just put the brakes on here, and our fans especially. I mean, was it not just 2 weeks ago? I think everybody was celebrating that we
the President's Trophy.
Clinched the President's Trophy, and you take a 2-0 series lead. I don't think everybody was this angry that I know of. So it's 2 games. Yeah, it was 2 terrible games, but the series is far from over yet. That's all I want to say, and I'll gladly hang up and listen up.
Hey, Ricky, I like you bringing some grounding to this show. We're all talking this through right after experiencing that. It's easy to get sucked into the emotion. So I like you bringing some grounding because it's still a 2-2 series. Those are really good points on the injuries. The one thing that just frustrates me with the injuries is that they had a chance to upgrade and they left money and cap on the table. So I have a trouble giving them too much of an excuse on that. I do agree that Nick Ehlers missing is the biggest piece, especially with you see how this game is being played in transition. I think he's someone that could really open things up for Winnipeg to both spend more time in the blue zone and break that St. Louis neutral zone down a little bit. So I think that's totally valid. And Gabe Vilardi should come back and help this power play. I don't know if Gabe Vilardi jumping back on the top line is going to change much for this team at 5-on-5, which is my one concern.
No.
But hey, this is a team. It is 2-2. 2 of the next 3 games are played at home. The home team's won every game this series. And I've been saying it, and I'm having trouble today finding that line, and I give Ricky credit for bringing that side to it, because I was one celebrating the President's Trophy. I was one even calming the bridges down after Game 3 and saying, hey, St. Louis was always going to push back in this.
Yep.
I think the biggest thing for me, and Scott Westman points it out, it's not about them losing per se. And I was ready to come in here after a 3-2 loss and say, hey, this is where you want to be. It's how they are losing that has me worried and fired up today.
Yeah.
That's just the one thing for me. It's just the how rather than the losses.
Yeah, absolutely. In the same way that, the city's got a little bit of PTSD when it comes to the team, and, some people don't want to be negative because they feel like, oh, that means the team's going to leave if I have any type of criticism. There's also there's been a bit of trauma watching this team make the same mistakes and crash out in the playoffs every year, right? On the flip side of things. So that when it does go this way 2 games in a row, and the problems are things that are so very clearly the problems right from the beginning, have been evidently the things that could derail what has been a historic season, we start to get a little worked up over it, right? It's not just that they didn't add the skill depth at the deadline that they needed. It's also that we never experimented with the lineup so that when this happened and we didn't have, reinforcements coming in, we could get a little creative and try to work the lineup, try to work the minutes in our favor. We've been so stagnant in both of those things that when it's starting to cost us wins in the playoffs, it's real easy to, maybe not, go right over the ledge, but to at least sit on it with your legs dangling.
Yeah. Hey, we'll see where this goes. They have 2 days off to adjust. They're getting Gabe Vilardi back in the lineup. Let's hope for some punch back right now, because I'm definitely feeling the same way a lot of our callers are. But I do think what Ricky just brought to the show is important, not to lose sight of it.
Yep.
It was never going to be 16-0. It was probably never going to be 16-5 even.
Yeah.
This is the playoffs. At the end of the day, that game is now done. We move into a best of 3. Winnipeg has the home ice. So far, in my opinion, St. Louis has the goaltending and coaching. We'll see what wins out.
You ready for the next call?
See. Let's get to the next call.
Right on. Thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about? Hey, caller. You're on now.
Is this my boy Mitty? Mitty, are you there?
All right, we're going to... Oh. All right, we're going to jump off that one there. But if you're listening, caller, maybe you had us on a different Bluetooth headset or something, but give us a call back. Phone line's still open. 1-204-800-0409. Get on the line. Buzz Knight over on YouTube says, look, if my Blues win this, we'll trash the Avs for you. Payback. There's our caller.
Hey, I don't know if that's going to feel like payback for me, I got to say.
Hey, caller, you're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
Hey, guys, it's Mitty calling. How are things going? You guys settling down a little bit?
It's starting to come down a little bit. The last caller brought some better vibes. So how are you doing today, Mitty? How are you feeling? Are you settling down a little bit?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing a little bit better than I was an hour or so ago, like so many Winnipeggers. I wore my Winnipeg is sexy T-shirt that I got at Dallas a couple weeks ago. I thought that was going to be the cure-all, but it turns out that it wasn't.
Actually, that reminds me. I'm going to make a little note here. We're going to give away Winnipeg is sexy shirts on From Financial. I got a bunch. So, but back to you, Mitty. What do you want to talk about? Sorry about that.
There you go. I mean, here's the thought. I mean, I think to a certain degree we are what we thought we were. You know, you put Helly in a game like today, where we outshot St. Louis. If Helly was doing Helly things, we would have squeaked that one out, potentially, 2-1, did something like that, and then we would all be praising how the system works and how everybody has done their jobs effectively. And that's the difference right now, is that Helly is just being less than pedestrian. He's being horrible. I mean, all of the calls about Helly have been absolutely accurate about how he. I think that the city has allowed his antics to go on with never having interviews and not coming back to the bench if he gets pulled because of what he does, 60 times a year. But when he's not doing it now, all of a sudden we're calling him out. The reality is this team, I agree with everything that you guys have been saying about what we should have done at the deadline. I'm not saying that this is, I'm not giving Chevy a clear pass without question that there was something that should have been done. I mean, we've heard people bring up Brock Nelson 100 different ways. And the reality is he's not a Winnipeg Jet because he didn't want to be a Winnipeg Jet. So yep. I understand that there could have been other options that we could have got. I do believe that the most ironic part of everything that's happening right now is the fact that Nik Ehlers, who is so unbelievably obviously missed, is the one Jet that Chevy seems unwilling to sign. And that is the biggest thing that I keep thinking about today, is that the one biggest piece that we're missing that we have in our lineup is a player that Chevy is unwilling to sign. I don't know is there differences between this series and the series against St. Louis when we lost in 19? I mean, the obvious difference is that in the first 4 games of that series, no home team won, as opposed to this year when no home team lost. So until that happens, I'm still holding out hope, but I don't know. I'm truly at a loss for everything that's happened today and over the last couple of days. I don't even know what is going to happen on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be at the game. I'm out of town, and I don't even know if I'm going to watch it. I'll maybe have it in the background or something. It's nervous times for me, man.
Hey, Mitty, appreciate all of that, and it's hard to disagree with anything you said. I mean, hey, I'm someone that spilt the Hellebuyck propaganda more than anybody, and he's been pedestrian. I think that's the perfect word for it. And he's the MVP of this team, and he's fallen flat, and it's hurting them. On the Nik Ehlers stuff, anybody that truly believes the Winnipeg Jets will be better by not paying Nik Ehlers, I need them to watch and see what's happening in this middle six without him, because he is the clear difference maker. I will say, I think the Winnipeg Jets would sign Ehlers. I think it's more him wanting greener pastures after being so limited for so long, and it's going to play into how much he makes versus how much he's relative to make when you look at some of the wingers. We'll see where that goes, but they're going to miss him a ton because of how they handled him throughout his career.
I hear you. Well, I mean, time is going to tell. Hopefully, it's all a moot point. Hopefully, I still maintain that we win Game 5, we win this in 6. That's still the optimist in me. If we could squeak something out, then the redemption comes in St. Louis whenever that game is, Friday or Saturday or whenever it is. Thanks for taking my call, fellas.
Hey, thanks, Mitty. Enjoy your trip, and hopefully these nervous times pass with a big win on Wednesday, because I fall the same place you do, that if Winnipeg wins Game 5, I truly believe they win this series in 6. I feel like Game 5 is a must-win for both teams the way that this series has gone.
Totally agree.
I think Game 5, whoever wins Game 5 is going to win this series. That's where I lie right now with
totally
what
agree.
we've just seen over 4 games.
Let's see what our caller thinks. Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about? Oh, caller, you might have us on mute. All right, we'll jump off that one.
It's going to be the rare time T. Kona Pauly's on mute. He's trying to call in. He said, clear the strip. T. Kona is coming in hot.
Let's see what we got. Hey, caller, you're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
Hey, boys, it's King Canadian calling back again. A little more calmer this time. There's a couple things I was too worked up about last time I forgot to get to. I don't want to discuss anything about the game. I've beat that horse more than dead a couple times. She's pretty slaughtered at this point. But there's some managerial things I want to kind of talk about. Going back to the deadline, me and Hulk were kind of talking about it a little bit in the chat there on Twitch. But I think the most frustrating thing to me is a couple things. One, we hear constantly, no one wants to play in Winnipeg. No one wants to come to Winnipeg. And yet we hear, no one wants to play in Winnipeg because it's Winnipeg. And I'm from Saskatchewan. A lot of you guys are from Manitoba. We hear it all the time just from Canadians in general about how horrible it is to live in Saskatchewan, how horrible it is to live in Manitoba. Yet we can both of us, or all of us can speak about how much we love our provinces, how special our provinces are compared to the other provinces in Canada. That makes us unique. And other players come to Manitoba, and you hear them talk about the food, the lakes, the hunting, and all that kind of stuff. They love that about Winnipeg. I'm starting to wonder, is it the Winnipeg Jets that people don't want to come play for? Not necessarily Winnipeg. Is it the way that players they're not winning? Why would you want to come to a place you're not winning? I'm starting to get over the whole it's Manitoba Winnipeg part. More, let's look at the Winnipeg Jets themselves. The second thing I want to kind of talk about is I don't get why Winnipeg doesn't go full Moneyball. We are going to be at a disadvantage of signing players. Why not take advantage of analytics and all of those kind of things, disgruntled players, disgruntled RFAs like Marco Rossi last year, for example? Why not take swings on those guys and let your Neil Pionks walk and let your, traded Nick Ehlers, traded Kyle Connor, trade Mark Scheifele even, and not get old, but, really lean into a Moneyball approach of things. At the deadline, you have $6 million worth of cap. Why not use that? If you're not going to trade for someone, use that cap, get some picks, take on a contract to help someone else facilitate a trade, get some picks in. Why not be proactive in how you're managing this team? I think of a team like the Canes that we hear all the time about them being cheap, and they have goal-scoring problems in the postseason, but they're a very good team, but they're a cheap team, and yet they get all these players, and they lean into that, and it's frustrating that the Jets don't. They just stick with the status quo. They stick with everything that they've ever done because change is scary, and it's frustrating. I wish they would take a different approach, a unique approach at how they coach, how they run the team, how they manage players, taking advantage of disgruntled situations instead of just being okay with mediocrity. It sucks.
Hey, man, I'm going to put a pin in this one. I'm going to play this back at the off-season episode, and we'll dive into this when this season's over. I don't want to get too far down that line in the middle of a first round that's tied 2-2 with 3 to go. But I think you have a lot of great takes there, and we'll come back to this in the off-season. How's that sound?
I've wanted to get it off my chest for a while, but I know I understand. But you always have a good rest of your day, and hopefully we have a better whenever the next games. The games are like 8 years apart, it seems. So, hopefully the next game is more fun to watch. But have a good rest of your Sunday, boys.
You too. Thank you.
Hey, you too. Thanks for being here, man. Want to talk quickly about formally shouts out, saying so cool that your phone line is overwhelmed. Good job, boys. And hey, this is what we want this show to be about. We want this show to be bringing this community together, talking about the highs, talking about the lows, and being able to share what everybody's thinking rather than just having me and Mikey share our thoughts. We want to give people the opportunity to push back on us or get their takes out there and discuss those. So I'm glad everyone is enjoying that today and being a part. This has been awesome. I'm having a blast. And it's kind of saved me from having to go full rant mode.
You ready for the next caller?
Yeah, and I'm gonna send you Tico and Apolli's numbers. Scott
Perfect.
just texted me that we need to get him on.
Hey caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
My name's Quentin.
Hey Quentin.
You guys know who I am. I want to
What's
call
going on,
and
Quentin?
kind of let some steam off.
Absolutely, that's what we're here for, my man.
I don't know where to begin. I guess maybe the negatives. I don't
Easy
like
spot
the
to
way
go.
The team has played these last 2 games here. To be quite honest with you guys,
It's concerning.
Defense is. Oh my God! I thought they played a great first period, but I don't know where it just fell apart. Especially watching it in the arena. Hellebuyck does not look like himself. It feels like the moment this team faces any kind of pressure, especially on the road, they just crumble. And nobody has
taken that next step to kind of dig themselves out of that hole and kind of take the lead and trying to mount a comeback. Feels really deflating. I don't know. It feels like I'm an echo chamber with everyone that's called before me,
buddy.
and it's just I don't want to keep dumping on it because I'm trying to look at the positives, and I think it's 2-2, right? When we're going back home, this team is still in it, and my line of thinking is, as long as we just keep winning at home, we'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
Hey, the way that the President's Trophy has given the Winnipeg Jets the chance to strictly win at home. They win every game at home this playoffs. They're lifting the big one. And that isn't something to lose track of here, as hard as the last 2 games have been hard to watch on the road. And I think you're right. Like, it hasn't felt like someone has really jumped up to grab that and want to turn it over. And that's something we have seen from this team all year, where guys would grab, whether it be Lowry's line on a night, Scheifele on a night. Josh Morrissey has always been that guy. And Josh Morrissey's a guy that I might be most disappointed with, and we haven't talked a whole lot about it. But that's the Jets' best player out, and he's always been that driving force when this team gets down. Guess what? Josh Morrissey has you. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen Hellebuyck grab a game by the balls. So I think what you're saying there is all right. But I think you're right. We can't lose sight of the fact they have 2 of the next 3 games at home. They've earned home ice all year. They won both games at home, and they looked real good doing it. We've talked at length after those first 2 games that the Jets were clearly the better team in those 2 games. This thing isn't over, even if it feels pretty deflating today.
Yeah, no, the high I was on after those first 2 home games was incredible. I thought, okay, we're in control. We're going to go into St. Louis. Maybe they lose one, and they figure out the way to win the one on the road there. But then you see these 2 games and the way they displayed themselves, it's just, oh my God, wake the hell up. But hey, I mean, we're coming back. It's going to be an 8:30 start on Wednesday, late as it is. But I just hope that from the get-go, the crowd fires them up. We pound the St. Louis Blues face in, and we just absolutely take control of that game and kind of use that momentum going forward. That's all I really think.
Hey, that's the message leaving here, Quentin. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for the call. Thanks for adding your input. And on the positive side, I want to share our friend from St. Louis now, Buzz Knight. Before I leave, don't panic, Jets fans. This is the hardest trophy to win. And that's someone that's seen his team win it in the last 6 years. So if we're looking for some positive, let's not lose sight of that stuff too. Even though today has been a good day to get off a lot of our frustrations on what we've seen from this team so consistently the last few years.
Absolutely. Let's see if our next caller on hold feels the same way.
Okay. Am I on now?
Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
Hello?
Hey, caller, go ahead.
Can you not hear us?
Okay, yeah. I'd like to say that the coach obviously didn't prepare the team for a heavy-hitting team, and the Jets are being pressured, and they're not responding. Man, I remember when we were in high school. Oh, I'm in the queue.
No,
you're
here.
You're
live.
You.
Go ahead.
We hear you, buddy. You're in high school. Hello?
All right, I think we lost him there, but we got... Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip.
Hello?
Hey, go ahead. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
I'm in the chat. I'm JetsFan24.
JetsFan24, welcome in.
My name's Todd. First, I would like to
Cousin Todd, how's it going?
Hey, cousin, what's up? So, as a former goalie, one of the things I see with Hellebuyck is he relies heavily on his positioning and to be very sound with it, right? But he doesn't adjust when the shot gets deflected or he can't see the puck. Whereas a lot of goalies you'll see in the playoffs, they rely a lot on their athleticism compared to Hellebuyck. So that's why a lot of people see Hellebuyck and they think big and boring, right? And generally he is. But sometimes you got to get a little bit out of your position to try and make a save. And I love Hellebuyck. I've been a Hellebuyck apologist for a long time. But right now, we need him to just make a save any way he can. Right? And the defense has got to do a better job of boxing out in front of him and clearing the front of the net. That's not happening very well. And the Jets aren't getting bodies in front of Binnington to screen him, to deflect shots. So anyways, that's my rant.
Hey, hard to disagree with that either, and maybe that is the problem with the Hellebuyck style is at this time of year. That athleticism does matter when you need that big save. It's perplexing to me right now. It really is.
It is, and like, I just don't know. I don't know what happens in the playoffs with him. Like, for the last 3 years of the playoffs, it just, he looks all out of sorts. And he's normally a goalie that plays a little deeper in his net than, like a Dustin Wolf or a Pussy Saros. He plays a little deeper in his net, which is fine because he's bigger. But I'd like to see him play a little bit more out of his net. Mm-hmm. And I think that would help with the deflected shots, the screening a bit more. But again, we'll see. Hopefully him and Flats can make some adjustments. And in Game 5, we see the Hellebuyck we're so used to in the regular season. Because we need him.
Yeah.
To win the series,
I like that idea of coming out from the back of the crease because it'll cut down those angles. So if St. Louis is looking for those point shots, those high shots with tips and deflections, at least if he's off the goal line and he's got that big stance, you'd still expect somebody to hit him, right?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, thanks for taking my call, and I'll talk to you guys later. See you in the chat.
All right, thanks for the call, Todd. And I tend to lie where Trevor is here too. If they could shake the past 2 games, I am still bullish on the Jets, even if we're feeling it today.
You ready for Tico Napoli?
Yeah, we're ready for Tico Napoli.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the mayor of Transcona, Tico Napoli, on with us. Ticona, what would you like to talk about?
Hi there, am I coming through?
You're coming through. Can you mute the stream behind you though?
Yeah.
All right, the mayor of Transcona, Tico Napoli, on with us. Ticona, what would you like to talk about?
Firstly, if we were all so chill as Nick.
Can you mute?
Hey, can you mute your show in the background?
Hang on there. How about now?
Perfect.
Good now. We are not ready for Tico Napoli. Let's hear it, buddy. How you doing?
If we're all only as calm as Nick's dog. What's your name? What's the name again? Charlie, after your late father?
Leslie Boy. That was my father's middle name, so I got him 3 weeks after my father passed. And yeah, he's been a nice chill boy for me, that's for sure.
If only we were all as chill as that. But to Jordy, where was he last year with the call-in? Because that was the year to pull Hellebuyck. LB was the goalie to come in and, kind of take the load off him like in Game 4 there. If you win with LB, you stick with them, great. If you lose, you still could have went back to Hellebuyck for Game 5. But, they didn't do that. This year, Comrie, very good season, but he's not the goalie to lean on at this point in time. They ain't going to be able to do that. So it's going to be Helly's show, but he's a no-show come playoffs. It's painfully obvious.
It's hard. It's hard to disagree. Like, I almost. This is where it's complicated for me. You pointed out Eric Comrie's not going to be the goalie that could go on a run that's going to win you a cup. So I imagine, and we saw Arneal say he 100% trusts in Connor Hellebuyck. I do, at least in the back of my head, wonder about sending a message and going Comrie Game 5, and you lose that, and you get a motivated Hellebuyck for 6-7. I don't know at this point. I'm open to anything, honestly. I'm open to anything that's going to potentially get a spark or create something. I really am.
I think you're grasping at straws there because
I think you're right. I think you're right.
LB was the goalie. He had the pedigree. He could have maybe done something in the playoffs. Comrie, not so much. But you talk about Hellebuyck playing on his goal line. That ain't changing. That's his style. It'll never. I'm a former goalie, 30-plus years. I've been through all of it. That goalie, those point shots aren't going in if he's at the top of a circle. The guy's 6'5". I'm 5'5". At the top of my circle, you're stopping that. He plays on his goal line way too much. That's great in the regular season, but somehow it don't get it done in the playoffs. It's the competition in him. He doesn't fight for his crease at all. That third goal, the poke check, weak as can be, man. You got to have some strength there. You got to fight for your crease. You can't just give it up that easily. So it's coming down to confidence with them in the end, because with no confidence, even his style won't work. So you can want to change the style, but you're never going to change it. So that goalie needs confidence, and he has none in the playoffs. He falls under that narrative, and he just cracks.
T-Kona, you're absolutely cooking right now. You're absolutely cooking. How could anyone say T-Kona Paulie is wrong right now?
Well,
it's perplexing.
I'm sure there are people that could. What's Mikey got to say?
Look, I'm a big believer in you leave the dance with the girl you came with. Connor Hellebuyck brought us here. There is no way I am putting Eric Comrie in to send any type of message. He's there for exactly what he was there for today. Come and do some mop-up duty when things don't go our way. But if we're going to go down, you got to go down swinging with your guys. I don't think goalies are weird, right? You know that. You're one. I aspired to be one, but couldn't actually do it. We're weird folk. You know what I mean? So I don't think Hellebuyck takes the message that well in that direction. You know what I'm saying? So no, I'm sticking with the guy that got us here, and I'm just hoping and praying that the miracle comes through.
Okay, then speaking of guys, what about the rest of the guys? As soon as Scheifele gets leaned on, he's got some goals. He's fighting hard, but he didn't get much done today.
No,
and Lowry, Morrissey, they're not helping Hellebuyck at all.
Nope.
But at this point in time, if Hellebuyck wants to change that narrative, he needs a 50 goal or a 50 shot save performance where he steals a game.
Yep.
You know, you get that out of goalies that are rookies. Never mind goalies that are supposed to be Hart contender goalies.
Yep.
And you're right. That's the only way he can change the narrative. If he has like a 25-shot win where the team looks good on Wednesday, that's still going to be in the back of everyone's minds.
Okay, but I've been a Jet fan. Here's the other narrative. The other caller, don't give up yet. Don't give up yet. I'll tell you what. I've seen the Jets win in the WHA days. I've seen the Jets all the way through the 80s with season tickets. And I've seen the Jets blow every playoff series they're ever in, basically. So it's hard to have any confidence and want to go forward. But that said and done, I believe in them. It's my team. I'm going to root for them. Go Jets, go. So I'll end it at this. If we want to be positive with all these home wins, somebody did the math for me because I'm a goalie. I'm not good with the math. A lot of shots in the head there, right, Mike?
Yes,
That's
sir.
said and done. 16-12, all home wins, and we can still win the cup, baby.
You got
Let's
it.
Go Jets.
Hey, I like that ending, T-Kona. You're getting a lot of love in the chat. Some people say you sound like a coach, and you might need to make this a regular call. Appreciate you taking the time. I gotta say, is whoever was on before and they couldn't hear us, they were about to tell us a story about back in high school. And if you're still around, I'd love for you to call back in because I was excited about where that call was going. I'm also supposed to...
I believe that was Quentin. So if you're still out there, give us a call back. Yeah, we'd love to get the end of that story. And as for what Paulie was saying, I think there's two things at play, right? It's half the Hellebuyck narrative and it's half the issues going on in front of them. So I think today was just that perfect storm of both things at the same time.
It is frustrating, and this core does have to do better in front of him. Lowry, Morrissey, I think he's right about Scheif's game today, though he's been great throughout most of it. This team needs to be better.
Sorry.
This team needs... What's up?
Oh, no, sorry, Quentin. That's my bad. He was a caller before him.
Oh, yeah, the caller before Quentin was going on a great story, but They couldn't hear us back. I sent you a number. I got DM'd from Matt Rothman if you want to give him a call. Like I said, we'll stay live if people want to take calls. This has been fun. This has been a great way to do this.
I will. We'll get to that one next. We've got one on hold right now.
Sounds good.
Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
Oh, hi. I'm Bob from St. Boniface, and I'm the high school guy.
Excellent, Bob. Thanks for calling back.
Yeah, good to hear from you, Bob from St. B.
Yeah, sorry, boys. First time I called in anywhere ever, and I actually didn't hear anything, so I'm there. Am I, waiting in the queue? Now, when we were in high school, we knew what teams were going to put on a full-court press, what teams were deadly here or there, and our coaches prepared us for each team specifically. I don't see that happening in this game, in this series, because they should know that St. Louis Blues was going to come at them hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, not that I blame Hellebuyck for anything this season, this series, because he's not getting support from anybody. There should be more goals scored other than just line one, as well as from the defense. We saw Appleton with a wide open net. He shot it over the net.
Yep.
These guys, it's not their first year playing hockey. They've been playing hockey since you're 5, 6, 7 years old. Are you telling me that our guys can't hit the net underneath the crossbar?
Apparently not. And it is frustrating because, outside that top line, they've gotten, 0 goals from the middle six? I think Lowry's line has just the empty netter when the game was out of reach in Winnipeg. And you're just not going to win like that. You can't win like that without secondary scoring. The fourth line has 2 more goals than the middle six.
It's ridiculous. Now, the players should be able to, have suggestions. They should know what to do. The coach has to know what to do. This is the NHL.
100%. 100%.
They know how to play the game, and they're not playing it.
The concerning thing, bringing up what you talked about there early on, the coaching staff needs to have these guys ready for the certain different teams. I felt St. Louis really showed themselves at their best in Game 3 in a way. It wasn't Winnipeg's best game, but I give more credit to St. Louis in Game 3 than this one. That I was hoping to see with 2 days off, some adjustments, knowing, okay, this is where St. Louis really hammered us. Let's fix this a little bit, and we didn't see that. And that, to me, is concerning moving forward here.
Well, yeah, look at St. Louis's coach. I didn't realize this. I don't really follow a lot of teams. I'm really busy with my job and stuff. But St. Louis has Boston Bruins' old coach.
Yep.
Yeah, Jim Montgomery, and he actually a little tidbit that's fun. It's kind of funny too because he was pretty high on the Jets candidate list when Bonus was hired after the Trotz thing, and that's kind of funny to think about in a roundabout way now.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Now, before I go, we're going to talk about Winnipeg. I don't think it's the Jets because if you remember, Jets the first time they were here with they had Olchek and Fenton and Troy Murray. And what's his name? The tough guy, Ty Domi and all those guys.
Ty Domi.
A lot of those guys said that we would retire before we came to Winnipeg, and they told their agent, just get me out of there.
Yep.
They were happy playing here, and Fenton dropped a couple tears, and he wasn't the only one, when he found out he was traded out of Winnipeg. Yep. Once they get here, they like it. Yep. And if you look at the Jets ever since they come back, almost every one of our players continued to resign.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a select few guys that haven't. That narrative that was back then has rung true here. Once players come to Winnipeg, they see Winnipeg in a whole different light.
Oh, they love
100%.
it. 100%. Yeah. Nobody wants to leave.
Which is, it's great. It's just trying to find those guys before they get contract control so you can kind of get them in long term, right?
But we have to get them here. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Okay, this was a lot of fun. I guess we're going to go. I've already bitched out the game to my friends. And
hey,
what am I on now? I'm on Facebook.
You're on Facebook. You're on YouTube. You're on Twitch. We're everywhere.
I've enjoyed your callers. It's been very good.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Hey, thanks for stopping in. Thanks for calling in, Bob. It was great to have you. We'll have to get you in here again through the rest of the playoffs. That was a great call.
Oh, well, just look at me and look at the Jets. For me, the first time it worked out, and I came back and I changed my approach. And look at this.
Look at that.
It worked.
Oh, there we go. There's the words of wisdom. Leave it here from Bob. There it is.
Okay, go
There's
Jets,
our
go.
positivity. If Bob figured out the call-in show, the Jets could figure out the Blues. That's where we're at.
So you want to get on to Matt Rothman next, right?
Yeah, he had sent me a DM, and I think Danica Smith in the chat also sent me one.
All right, Matt Rothman, we're calling you up now.
Hello.
Hey there, you're on the Landon Strip. What would you like to talk about, Matt?
Yeah. Thank you, Nick, for bringing me on. But yeah, I
No
mean,
problem.
obviously not too great of a day, to be honest. I mean, like I told you through text, Nick. But when looking at it, I mean, just going through mostly, the management in general, because even though I have praised Kevin Cheveldayoff in the past for some of the moves he made, obviously the past 3 moves he's made have, been very questionable, to say the least. Like, I get you're trying to, provide depth, but at the same time, I just don't know if, bringing Shen and then bringing Tanev for 2 second-round picks and then extending Pionk for that, whatever that contract is, why you would do that. But even worse, just looking at the draft history, because, like, in his first, few years from 2011 to 2015, it seemed like, he was drafting at least, 2 guys every single year that at least had some, production with the Jets. Like, early on started with Scheifele, Lowry, then went to Trouba, Hellebuyck, and so on. But it seems like ever since then, you go to 2016, 2017, so on, you don't really have, an impact player every year. Like 2017, you had Sandberg. 2018, your best one you got was a fourth liner in Gustafsson, who's not even a consistent fourth liner. 2019, you just have Heinola for 53 games and Perfetti in 2020, and then after that, not much. So, there has been a big problem with, especially drafting and developing, which, I think people have said with this teams that are drafting and developing, that it really looks like they haven't done that a whole lot, especially in the last, you could say, 9 years.
And it all plays together, right? Like the idea of team building is really complicated, despite how a lot of us want to make it sound easy. But when we know how important getting big contributions in a cup window is from ELCs, and it seems like the last 5 years, as the Jets have tried to chase relevancy, it's been their prospect pool that it's kind of come at the expense of. And then you're not seeing those guys get an opportunity within those ELCs, which makes it harder to push the roster forward rather than kind of getting stuck. And I do think that's one spot where it is fair to criticize management on the idea that we're kind of always sold that whoever the Winnipeg Jets draft, it's going to be the best prospect, and we got to hold on to them. We can't trade them. And then we get into this awkward spot where they start losing values as time goes on. The Jets haven't traded them, and then their value's low, so they won't trade them, and you've got a dead asset. You weren't able to help bring that player in to implement your team, and you weren't able to move that player to get help now, and then you're kind of just stuck getting older without that help, and that's definitely part of this. It really is.
Yeah, it's sort of, and the thing is that, of course, there's some, unfortunate cases like, Chaz Lucius. That was a very unfortunate case, but I look at a guy like Elias Salomonsson, who now is just being blocked by, both DeMello and Pionk, because unless, even if, let's say, he were to do well, you're still going to be paying a guy $5 million a year or $7 million a year to be the third pairing, right D-man, which, to me, is just doesn't, it's not too, sound good for an organization that, before was bringing a lot of, opportunities for these, prospects and young players. And now, there's sort of that element of, even if let's say, he were to produce, you're still paying a guy a ton just to be on the third pairing, which isn't really too pretty, I'd say. But yeah, it's certainly would hope to look better going forward.
Yeah, and hopefully that's something that we see this summer when all things are said and done. We'll get into that into the summer. Hey, Matt, thanks for the call. Thanks for hanging around. Thanks for wanting to be a part of the show. Really appreciate your takes tonight.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Couple things here. I see a little debate on Twitch. Zoots 40 answering some of the last couple calls. This isn't on management. This is solely on the players. They need to deliver at some point. This is the fucking President's Trophy team that's folding in the playoffs. And I think you're mostly right. But where I lie is it is a problem all across the board because management did not go add the pieces we knew that this roster was missing come deadline. They tried the whole chemistry, add depth, and it's backfiring. Choices TK adds some context into the Hellebuyck conversation. Per Jesse Granger, I went back and watched every goal Winnipeg has allowed the last 2 playoffs, excluding empty nets. 14 of the 40 goals were either screened, tipped, or both, which is 35%. This year, it's 8 out of 16 for 50%. Of the goals Winnipeg scored, 5 out of 24 were screens or tips, 20.8%. And that's the summary. The Jets have to do a better job of clearing that slot. We got a call from Rahul earlier, how the Jets have been struggling offensively to get to that slot.
Yep.
St. Louis is using the slot to their advantage, creating nothing but havoc in front of Connor Hellebuyck, and that's great context. Zooch 40 does push back with they did go for those pieces according to all accounts, though, and I'll push back with that with the Darren Dreger conversation on Barn Burner last week, where he even suggested that I was right on the idea. He didn't say me specifically, that Kevin Cheveldayoff was all in on Brock Nelson, and he got leveraged. And that's where the deadline went wrong for one of the most experienced general managers. He let himself get down a stream where he was leveraged and didn't have a great backup plan.
The no backup plan is really the problem, right? You can miss out on your top prospect or your top target. Pardon me. You can miss out on that. That happens to a lot of teams every year. It's the fact that there was no ability to pivot. There was no plan B. We see that in the lineup decisions as well. There's no ability to pivot. There's no plan B. It's plan A to succeed, and that's it. It's frustrating, man. You want to make that ready for that next call that you wanted to make?
I just want to touch on Yin's point over on YouTube first, and then we'll jump into that call. Yin Vivian says, is Landing Strip just on post-game? Right now, we are just a post-game show after every game. We go live normally about half hour, 40 minutes prior. One day, hey, if we could build this up, I would love to make this a Monday to Friday morning show. That is my goal. Just throwing it out there. We need to get some traction. We need to build. I would love to make this a 5-day-a-week thing at some point in my life. That is my goal with the Landing Strip, with Top Line Media. But right now, you could come in every post-game show and be a part of this, and that's what we could do for you.
Awesome. We've got a caller on hold. Let's get to him. Hey, caller. You're on the Landing Strip. What's your name, and what would you like to talk about?
My name's Mike.
Hey, Mike. Go ahead.
How's it going?
Hey, good. Hey, Hellebuyck's probably going to start, and that's fine. But his record on the road in the playoffs is what, 1-8, 1-8 in the last 9.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's not great, but everybody has to look at the last 5 Stanley Cup champion teams that have won the cup. This Jet team is nowhere close to built to play against those former winners or this year to win the cup, because they've got bigger, better teams that will play as good as St. Louis, if not rougher than St. Louis, if they ever make it past St. Louis.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at what could come in round 2, and I'm not liking the Jets' odds based on what we've seen so far.
No, there's too many marshmallows, guys. I'm sorry, they're too soft. And if you go right from the start of game 1, 30 hits in the first period, St. Louis got 58 by the 10-minute mark of the second period. They let off a bit in the third, and it cost them the game. 2-1 game in game 2. Plenty of hits. Well, game 3 and 4, there's no comparison at all. They've absolutely beat these Jets down. They're soft, they're marshmallows, and at the end of the day, probably going to be golfing by the end of the weekend.
It's certainly feeling that. Hey, thanks for the call. Appreciate you getting that out. And it's hard to disagree. St. Louis is physically controlling this series. And I think one thing that plays into that, too, as what you're talking about and kind of seeing the response, it was very public that the St. Louis Blues, despite being physical in Winnipeg, only got a couple hits on the top line. And then in St. Louis, they've been running roughshod on that group, and we've seen them kind of wilter as well, despite being the only line bringing this team offense. I do think that has played into their game as well, so I like that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also want to point out to Yin, thank you, Mike. You're great at this. Our show is available on podcast form the next day as well. So if you missed the live show, you could subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. We make sure to upload it as soon as we get off live.
Yep, absolutely.
Appreciate the love, Carson. The Landing Strip is the greatest post-game show of Winnipeg Jets history. I'll take it.
Absolutely.
Let's go into the From Financial Face-Off unless there's any more dials coming through.
Did you want to make the call for the one that you sent me?
Oh, yeah, there was one more. Sorry.
One more waiting for us. Yep, so I'll give them a ring up now.
This number is a pay-per-minute number that isn't included in Magic Jack.
Oh, sorry, they'll have to call in. That one we can't call out too.
There we go. Let's go into the From Financial Face-Off. If you're still in the chat, I want to know what you think the From Financial Face-Off difference was in St. Louis versus in Winnipeg. What's going to be the difference in Game 5? And we're going to hand out a Winnipeg is Sexy shirt. I got 8 to give away for the rest of the playoffs. If you want a nice white shirt that you're not worried about ruining at the whiteout parties, we'll send it back the rest of the way there.
I think our caller has called us back, so you ready?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Hey, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip now. What's your name? What would you like to talk about?
Well, and Chad, my name is Danica Smith. Sorry that it didn't go through earlier. But,
No worries, all good.
It's all good.
So it seemed like, one thing before I get to the game. We had Transjona, we had St. B, and now we have Elmwood, so let's go.
Elmwood, shout out.
There we go. We're touring Winnipeg.
Yes, sir. But, seems like a lot of people have calmed down from the game, so I'm about to start it back up. It's a bad game when Appleton was probably one of the top 3 offensive people in the game. I fucking hate him so much. Sorry for swearing, but
Feel free.
every time he touches the puck, I know nothing's going to happen. Until the one time he fucking does a spin around slap shot fucking halfway across the ice, and then it goes in somehow. But,
I got text from Jordan after he had that great look from Lowry that did not go, and he's like, yeah, I couldn't even get excited as soon as I saw who was going to be shooting it.
Yeah, right when they announced to say Appleton, I'm like, oh, okay, nothing's happening. Like him, Nemestikov, like nothing happens when it touches the stick.
Yeah.
When it comes to the 2C, we obviously needed someone to come in, but of course they didn't. I'm not touching that though. I'm sick of talking about that because holy crap.
Yeah, we've talked enough about it.
Like, they can at least put Lowry there with someone else besides fucking Niederreiter too, because he's slow and doesn't help fucking Perfetti at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like this game, I don't completely blame on Haley. Like, let's say 3 of the goals, I don't blame on him, but still, it's Hellebuyck. He might win the Hart this year. We expect him to get half of these goals, but like Neil Pionk fucking took a puck off the keister and shot straight into the net. So I don't blame him for that one, obviously. But like, it's just frustrating. Like, I'm not mad. I'm just so annoyed. We know what they can do. They're just not doing it. Like, in the regular season, we were scoring like 4 goals a game. We were giving up 2. Now we're giving them up 5 and scoring 2.
It's frustrating. You summed it up right there best. It's like, what do you say? What do you say?
What?
Hey, thank you for the call. We're going to dive into the From Financial Face-Off. Mikey, I also want to discuss what you want to do or see the Jets try in Game 5, and we'll work our way out of here. After nearly 2 hours, you, the listener, you, the viewer, you, the callers, rock. Didn't even notice the time going by after that miserable experience. Let's get into the From Financial Face-Off on the way out here. Yeah, sorry, Danica. The phone did break up. I thought you hung up there. We'll move into Wednesday, though. We'll make sure we get you back on the line. And you're right, it's just frustrating. So, what's the From Financial difference for you, Mikey, going into Game 5?
Oh boy, this has been a real tough one because I'm of two minds, right? I've got the pragmatic side of my brain, which is saying, here's what we've seen for 90, games this season so far. This is kind of where, things are going to go. And the hopeful part of my brain of, hey, what if we did this? And hey, what if we tried that? And this is a way that you could counteract those things. So, I'm going to go with old reliable, and I'm going to stay pragmatic with it. I'm going to say the difference in this Game 5 coming up, aside from the home cooking, aside from being back in the bar and feeding off the energy, you're going to have a Gabe Vilardi return to the lineup, which isn't going to do a whole hell of a lot for you 5-on-5. But we've seen these playoffs be a little bit different in how the games have been officiated. This isn't your grandpa's playoffs where you get, one call a game kind of thing. They're handing out penalties like they're fucking candy right now. So the Jets are going to have power play opportunities, and I think Gabe Vilardi back on that top power play, creating havoc with his hands that are absolutely wonderful in front of the net. The Jets are going to be able to have a bit of a resurgence in terms of the special teams, and that's going to be the way that they win that game. That's my hope anyways. So that's where I'm looking. The return of Gabe Vilardi, not so much 5-on-5, but hopefully how he can work that power play back into relevancy.
I'm going to dive into some of the chat before I get into mine because y'all are not disappointed. And Mikey, if you want to get a wheel ready, I'll hand out a shirt today. Formerly From Financial's neutral zone control wins the game, and that's something we've agreed on all year, and St. Louis is definitely hemming the Jets' neutral zone and taking it the other way. Jeff Cabeel's From Financial Faceoff was, I'm working out to get rid of this brutal game out of my head, and I cannot wait to go do the same right after this. Kevin Kowaluk's From Financial Faceoff is the Jets' best players have not been their best players top to bottom. Unacceptable if this team wants to win, and we do need the Winnipeg Jets' best players on Wednesday to be their best players. Silas's From Financial Faceoff is they absolutely have to start well and score first. If they don't score first, they have to fight back before they're in a hole. Helly needs to play well, and fans need to bring the energy, and I have no doubt about that. The one thing this market will not do is not bring the energy in a playoff game. The Miz points out, Blues are doing a good job shutting down the Jets' top line for the most part, and they definitely did in St. Louis after the Jets' top line controlled their minutes in the first two games. And hey, is that Mike the Miz or what? Do we got the Miz in our show?
The Miz. Wow. The Miz.
After he just got kicked by Alistair Black, he's jumping in. Jets fan 24's From Financial difference has got to be the fight in the Jets. In Game 1, they got down but fought back. Game 2, they scored first, but St. Louis wouldn't go away, and they fought for a 2-1 win. Phyllis's From Financial difference in the two games in St. Louis, Monty got last change. In Winnipeg, Arnie gets last change. Put our toughest D out on neighbors line and stop them cold. Carson Rybuck, my boy, got to watch this one with him. The From Financial Faceoff of the game was the difference in St. Louis players elevating their game to different heights. Some guys have mid to average regular season stats when it comes to the playoffs, always a factor. And they named Sundqvist, Braden Shen, Cam Fowler, all lights out so far. And yeah, I got to say, I'm regretting the Cam Fowler slander before the series. He continues to impress me. He's really been the difference on making the jumps to make the Jets on their heels through the neutral zone and the offensive zone. He's been nothing but steady. That pair of him and Parayko has been the goods. Tikona Pauly's From Financial Faceoff is Helly getting chased, and that's definitely it. I'm going to put this in the From Financial Faceoff difference. And that's formally saying you guys made a great show, fellas. Take the accolades. And we love and appreciate the support you all continue to give. Over on Twitch, there's a couple From Financial Faceoffs. Hulks is Montgomery is running circles around Arneal. Not that Arneal is making it difficult. Not to mention the getting the Blues skill guys to play with the grind and bump hockey when needed. And that's been an impressive turnaround. We know when Berube left town, that was something he was frustrated with. Montgomery is making that difference there. The Jets core continues to get blown over the second any pressure is applied. And when they do, they decide to march the physicality. They do it like they're throwing tantrums. And this has been their history with it. Think back to the Mark hit on Evans. It pisses me off. Choices TKs from Financial. Playoffs is not the regular season. Can't play or coach like it is. Also, at least no one got hurt. All I got. Big Papa's is glass half full. Arniel changes, lines up with a home ice, and can hide the bottom pair. 13 returns and brings some juice. Rusty's is go back to what works when you are mentally disciplined enough to give your goalie the best shot to win. Mike F's from Financial Faceoff is Luke Shen threw 2 hits today. As many hits as he was a minus today. What's the point? Miller and Stanley third pair. One of several changes needed. Not Helly though. Everything hinges on him figuring out how to play in the playoff. Also, Tyler Tucker injury helps too, who's brought a physical presence to that Blues blue line.
Yep.
I'm going to, with my From Financial Faceoff. On today's game, it was the difference of feeling like the fraud squad was back and seeing them wilter was really heartbreaking, really frustrating, really bothered me. On the difference moving into Wednesday, I want to see some adjustments. We know Velarde's coming back. I personally don't believe with the lack of production you're getting out of the middle six, just throwing him back onto the top line is going to make the big difference. So if I'm Scott Arniel, and I'm not Scott Arniel, and I know he's not going to do this, I think this is the time you have to go where you refuse to go, and you got to split up Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor onto 2 separate lines at 5-on-5, or you got to use Velarde on a second line to try and get more juice out of it, maybe with a Cole Perfetti, maybe with an Iafallo and a Lowry, something different. Because this team really does need more offense out of their middle six if they're going to survive. And I don't think going to Velarde, Scheifele, Connor is going to allow that to thrive. DL 14 points out. Nemestikov was horrible. I'm at the point where I would do the whole Baron for Nemestikov thing and change up this top 9. Like, they need more from that group, especially in the middle six. And they can't be scared. Because, Mikey, you've done a really good job highlighting it. The Winnipeg Jets are a deep team, but they are not deep in skill. They're deep in quality NHLers. They're not deep in skill. And without Nick Ehlers carrying that middle six offensively, we've got no goals there. And by adding Gabe Velarde and going all out on the top line, you're still going to have no offense there. Like, Cole Perfetti's all over this. I haven't liked his line mates. I think you have to try something you haven't done, and you need to make sure that there's 2 lines that could put the puck in the fucking net Wednesday, and that means going a place that Scott Arniel hasn't gone. It's time to get uncomfortable a little bit here. This is the playoffs.
Yep. This is why we wanted them to try these things out earlier in the year so that it's not a do-or-die situation and you're having to experiment and figure it out. But here we are.
Gord White says on the way out here, great show, boys. We started on a low and think we're leaving on some positive. Given the place to talk helps to work things out. And that's exactly how I'm feeling. I was coming in here guns a-blazing. We got it out of our system. But at the end of the day, the Winnipeg Jets are 2-2 in a series. They have the home ice advantage. They're tied in a series where their best players haven't played like their best players. They're getting Gabe Velarde back. This thing's not over. Felt like it today at times. It was frustrating to watch the version that we've seen happen so much. Let's move into Wednesday on a better note. Let's see where Wednesday goes. I'm excited to be there. I'm excited. I'm happy you were all here. As Formally says, I think we in the chat cooled you off today, Nick. And I definitely could have gone off the rails after that game. Kind of the tough thing about going live half an hour after, and you can't really ground yourself a little bit. This was a great show. All the calls, everyone being here. This was good. This was a good way to get into that loss. So thank you for that. Yin did ask about when this show started. We started doing the post-game version of it this year. We were doing a once-a-week version on Sundays, Mondays the last 2 years, and we decided to crank it up a notch. And we want to keep cranking it up a notch. So this is going to be my reminder to be a friend. Tell a friend. If you enjoyed this show, your other Jets friends might as well. let's keep growing this thing so we could keep adding to what we're doing here. If you're enjoying it, I'm enjoying it. Let's keep it going. But I guess we got to do a little giveaway. Hey, Mikey?
Just putting the last names into our list here.
Danica Smith from Financial Faceoff, which just stopped pushing after the late first goal. And that was what was frustrating, is they did play good until that goal, and then they folded.
Yep. Alrighty, let's do the wheel.
Let's do the wheel. Who's winning a shirt? Whoever wins this, you're going to send me a DM or an email to toplinemedia, TOPLINEMEDIA@gmail.com, and I'll get you a whiteout Winnipeg is Sexy shirt for being here today and being a part of the show.
Big Papa.
Big Papa. I will add it to Big Papa's care package that I'm waiting on the last item for before sending them. So Big Papa, you're going to get another shirt in that Saskatchewan care package we're sending out there alone.
We're going to be making Jets fans in Saskatchewan left, right, and center.
We are.
Winnipeg is sexy.
Winnipeg is sexy. Thank you, our chat and this market. You are sexy as well. Let's get on with our Sundays. Time for me to work off some of this at the gym. Appreciate you all for being here. This was a ton of fun. Our longest show, our most active show. Great calls, great audience the whole time. We'll see you Wednesday, and let's hope for something a bit better on Wednesday.
Remember, everybody, it's the landing strip for your Winnipeg Jets postgame. Good night.